This map of the Indian subcontinent from 1757 onward tracks the British East India Company's expansion. These shaded regions represent a campaign of territorial conquest and economic extraction that spread across the landmass. For over a century, colonial policies drained the region's wealth, triggering widespread poverty and famine. By 1857, these conditions led to a massive uprising, with soldiers and civilians alike fighting to reclaim their livelihoods. The resistance eventually united around a single clear objective. To stop the exploitation, they had to remove the foreign empire and reclaim political sovereignty. For the majority of the population at this time, freedom was defined as the removal of the British administration and its replacement with Indian leadership. While the fight against the empire dominated the headlines, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was engaged in an internal struggle against India's rigid caste hierarchy. Born into a marginalized caste, he navigated an exceptional academic journey. He studied at Columbia University, obtaining advanced degrees in sociology, economics, and law. But his global education offered no shield against social discrimination at home. When he returned to Baroda to work, he was denied housing, barred from communal water, and forced to endure colleagues who refused to touch his files. These experiences highlighted a layer of subjugation within the independence movement itself. For millions of citizens and tribal communities, the threat of social exclusion came from their own local social structures. Ambedkar realized that political sovereignty would not address these internal divisions. The nation required a social revolution to occur alongside its push for independence. By the early 20th century, the political fight against British rule accelerated. Mahatma Gandhi introduced a strategy to paralyze the colonial administration through non-cooperation. The movement transformed into a massive nationwide struggle. For the first time, farmers, students, and merchants across different regions acted in coordination against the empire. Massive civil disobedience campaigns, such as the Salt March, targeted specific colonial laws. By openly defying these regulations and accepting the legal consequences, the population strained the British administrative system. Parallel to this, an armed struggle added military pressure. Subhas Chandra Bose and the Indian National Army engaged British forces directly, challenging the empire's control over its own military assets. By the mid-1940s, the combined impact of mass protests, naval mutinies, and the economic toll of the Second World War made British rule difficult to sustain. Political victory was imminent. However, the question of which rights would be guaranteed to the people of this new nation remained unresolved. In 1927, Dr. Ambedkar initiated the Mahad Satyagraha, marking a critical moment for social justice. He led thousands to a public water tank, not to seize political control, but to exercise the basic human right to access a public resource. During the protest, participants burned the Manusmriti. This was a symbolic rejection of the ancient ideologies that were used to justify birth-based inequality. Ambedkar's strategy focused on long-term empowerment. He argued that marginalized groups needed to be educated and organized, with their dignity protected by law rather than left to the discretion of the majority. This campaign established that political liberty only mattered if it was paired with the structural protection of civil rights for every citizen. When the British left in 1947, the victory was immediately complicated by violence. Partition led to a massive displacement of people, as seen in these records of the era. There was also a political crisis. The subcontinent was divided into over 500 independent princely states, creating a high risk of balkanization. Sardar Patel led the effort to negotiate the integration of these hundreds of distinct territories into a single, unified state. The new country remained fragile. It was a nation divided by religious tensions, caste lines, and varying regional interests, all while attempting to build a new administration. While independence from the empire had been won, the challenge of creating a unified nation out of an unequal society had just begun. The Constituent Assembly, shown here in session, became the central arena for this task. They were responsible for writing the rules for the new nation. Dr. Ambedkar was appointed chairman of the drafting committee. This put the leading advocate for social justice in charge of designing the country's legal framework. The resulting constitution addressed the social struggle by guaranteeing equal rights for all. It also included the Fifth and Sixth Schedules, which specifically protected the lands and traditions of Adivasi communities. By outlawing discrimination and untouchability, the document merged the political independence sought by the freedom fighters with the social equality demanded by Ambedkar. The implementation of the Constitution transformed a political transfer of power into a guarantee of individual dignity. A nation's freedom is only as strong as the protections it provides to its most vulnerable citizens.